my friends, and welcome to SJ Weekly. Though not for much longer, I'm considering changing the name of the show again. Maybe it should be something like The Daily Sip, or The Daily Slurp, or something like that, you know? What do you guys think? Let's do a vote. I'll put a straw poll in as the pinned comment. If you want to suggest your own name, reply to the pinned comment, I guess. And if it gets a lot of upvotes, maybe we'll consider that too. But speaking of The Daily Sip, today my coffee was made by my girlfriend, thankfully. As penance for last week, and she put in chocolate milk rather than regular milk into the coffee. Now I've had hot chocolate mixed with coffee before, and that's pretty good. But let's try this out. You know, it's more chocolatey than the hot chocolate coffee combo, which surprised me. Because there's a lot less chocolate milk in a cup of coffee than there would be hot chocolate. It's good, though. I like it. Let's begin with our Twitter moron of the day, and holy fuck, what am I looking at? What are the moral ramifications of an adult being in a public romantic relationship with a life-sized replica of a child? This person here, Poonswindle, is not actually the person in the picture. That's somebody else. But this person, they're an adult woman, and they have a mannequin of a zombie kid, and she claims to be in a romantic relationship with this mannequin. You know, I've seen people marry their fucking 3DSs, their phones. I've seen people marry themselves. I've seen people, you know, obsess over waifus and like marry body pillows and shit. But this really has to take the cake, doesn't it? It's not even an attractive mannequin. It's a fucking zombie. This woman has a collection of these zombie child dolls. They are her life, and the one she is married to is the smallest one, called Kelly. She is very much romantically involved with this child doll, and potentially the others based on her Facebook posts. Why? Why? Oh my fucking god. Oh. I don't want to drink the rest of my coffee, dude. She has a YouTube channel, and in this video claims she's not a pedophile because she doesn't see the doll as a child. She sees it as 37 years old. Okay, we gotta fucking watch this shit. Oh, it's unavailable. Hold on a minute, is it really unavailable? Oh shit. Yeah, dude, it's just gone. Alright, let's move on to the actual news. This is an article that is not necessarily new, however, I came across it during my research for the last two videos. For those of you who don't know, the last two videos were basically about Black America in one way or another. And I couldn't fit this article in, but I do think it's worth looking at because it's actually quite smart. Black lives matter until they're ended by black people. That does seem to be the case, doesn't it? You will never hear an SJW rant about black-on-black crime. On December 30th, 7-year-old Jasmine Barnes was killed in a brazen drive-by shooting in Houston while in her family car, driven by her mother. Barnes' teenage sister provided the sole description of the shooter to the media and the police. He was white and he had blue eyes. In interviews, the family expressed fears that they had been targeted because of their race. The response was immediate. National media, celebrities, politicians, and activists launched a crusade to find the racist white killer. Within days, activist Sean King and his attorney Lee Merritt used social media to raise $100,000 as reward money for information leading to an arrest. Houston Texans star, wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins committed one of his paychecks to the Barnes family. Shaquille O'Neal pledged to pay for the funeral. A GoFundMe page raised over $82,000. On Twitter, celebrities and racial justice activists tweeted about the murder using the hashtag #JusticeForJasmine and say her name. As it turns out, being a victim is profitable. Now, I don't want to diminish what actually happened to this family because a little girl died. That's nothing you can just brush away. Like, that's still quite important. But partially because the teenage sister pinned a white guy with blue eyes is why this blew up and is why they got so much money and so much support. And as we'll see, that might not necessarily have been the truth. The public outcry had an impact. Over the weekend, Harris County Police announced a major breakthrough in the case. 2 men had been arrested, 1 charged, on suspicion of murder. Yet neither had blue eyes nor white skin. Both are black. Whereas the family believed they were victims of a hate crime, suspect Eric Black Jr. admitted before investigators that mistaken identity was to blame. What's more, in the wake of this surprising turn of events, those who made the loudest cries for justice became conspicuously quiet. Others maintained their outrage by resorting to a conspiratorial tone, sometimes questioning the police sequence of events. It's clear why the narrative around Jasmine's murder should attract so much furor. The life of a black child being taken by a racist in a post-Charleston, post-Pittsburgh America should anger us. Yet it's less clear why this furor should suddenly desist upon the revelation that the suspected killer is not white but black. Black lives do matter, but the backlog of ignored tragedies in Houston, similar to Jasmine's, suggests that attention given to black lives by some within the activist movement is more selective than it seems. And yes, that is exactly how it is, isn't it? All of these people who were giving money, who were giving attention, they all shut up as soon as Whitey wasn't the guy who did it. It's fucking disgusting. Jasmine did not deserve to be shot. She didn't deserve to die. She does deserve to have her killer brought to justice. And the fact that the support of all these people, the SJWs, the celebrities, is based not on their love and care for Jasmine and her family, but based on their hatred of white people, is fucking disgusting. And the author of this piece actually has it right. In today's share first, read later world of social media, this interest towards racial issues has produced a perverse incentive. It is race, not our common humanity, that now plays a central role in galvanizing outrage over tragedies. Thus, with black suspects in custody and the white-on-black crime aspect gone, there's nothing left to care about, leaving public interest to quickly evaporate. The fact that these people are willing to stop caring when a little girl has died because her killer is now a different race than they thought is morally reprehensible. Let's talk about something a little bit funnier here. Has Trump wrecked our sex life? Post-Trump sex disorder is real, says sex therapist. Big, mean, sexy daddy. Salon turns to Dr. Susan Block for answers to questions you didn't want to ask. I like how Trump is literally wrecking everything. There are people who are fat who are blaming themselves not going to the gym on Trump. There are people who can't open jars because they've allowed their muscles to wither away. They're blaming that on Trump. People are blaming literally everything on Trump. And honestly, it makes me want to see him win another term just to fucking troll people. Beginning with his presidential campaign and through his third year as president, the United States has experienced an increase in anxiety, suicide, depression, and other mental health problems. The President of the United States is a role model. His or her behavior influences the public. Oh, okay, well, shit, dude. Donald Trump's negative impact on mental health extends to the intimate sexual lives of many people as well. What is post-traumatic Trump disorder? How does Donald Trump's misogyny and other unhealthy behavior towards women reflect deeper systemic cultural problems in America around gender, sex, and intimacy? I don't know. How did Obama's unwillingness to admit publicly that he was half white and call himself just a member of the black community rather than the mulatto community, how did that affect America's view on race? The answer is it probably didn't all that much, but you're not going to fucking say that, are you? So this person decides to question that psychologist at the start of the article. How has the age of Trump impacted the American people's collective mental health and also their intimate lives? It has had a big impact. For some people, Trump's campaign and presidency has created a type of PTSD, what I call post-Trump sex disorder. Trump has created feelings of fear, loathing, and nausea. People just don't want to have sex. Well, maybe people just don't want to have sex with you. Most Americans of conscience, and decent people more generally, are appalled by Trump's personal and public behavior. Yet there are others who are aroused by Donald Trump and see him as a symbol of sexual potency and power. Yes, Donald Trump is a turn-off for many people, but for some people they are turned on and titillated by Donald Trump. They are not suffering from post-Trump sexual disorder. Okay, do you guys remember during and after the election, like shortly after, there were all those tweets of appalling lefty women who reported that they had Trump sex dreams, and it was like getting into their minds, and they were like feeling disgusted with themselves. That's what this is. This is pure hilarity. There is definitely a homoerotic attraction for Trump being experienced by his usually very homophobic male supporters. Both men and women really do find Trump to be an appealing bad boy and evil daddy who's really hot. No homo, guys. In this way, Donald Trump is the daddy of a dysfunctional United States family. And of course, evil can be very sexy. Evil is fascinating. As you said previously, Donald Trump is a cult leader and Charlie Manson-like figure. I don't know. I don't know exactly what to say about this. This is like wandered off into the realm of pure stupidity. Donald Trump is a right-wing authoritarian, an aspiring tyrant. The fascist conception of the state is very masculine in the most crude and basic sense. This person doesn't know a single thing about political science. In this way of thinking about politics and society, Donald Trump leads a political cult whose members want to literally be inside of him, to become him, to have a libidinal relationship with the great leader. This includes both men and women. The fascist aesthetic can be very erotic for the followers. Trump's supporters want to be spanked by him. I mean, the worst part about it is that I think there's a nugget of truth, because there's always those fucking trolling anime avatars who are like PMing Trump pictures of hentai and shit. Why are some men, especially conservatives and other authoritarians, frightened and made angry by strong, independent, sexually confident women? I don't think they're frightened or made angry by them. I think they're just not turned on by them. Like, to stop laughing at this insane article for a minute and talk seriously. I think they just don't find them attractive. Right-wing conservative men are very turned on by the thought of seeing their wives or girlfriends with other men. Really? Oh. These men, the Trump supporters, and especially the alt-right types, love to use the word cuck as a type of insult. But in reality, I would estimate that a lot of them, maybe most, are into the cuckold fantasy themselves. I mean, maybe. It's possible. The alt-right does love Asians and traps, like I said in my last video, so it's possible that they're all cucks. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. The cuckold fantasy cannot be easily separated from race in America and the West, especially for white conservatives and other members of the right wing. For example, in the right-wing imagination, cuck is usually used as a slur against a white man who is being perceived as weak, and in making this slur, Barack Obama, the United States' first black president, is often mentioned as well. I don't know. I think it just, like, cuck as an insult, it just sounds, like forget about the meaning of the word, because it's been so used and reused and twisted and warped over the past few years. But just the word cuck, I think it's like the sharp K sound at the end. It really just sounds like a smack in the face. This is a clear and direct allusion to white male anxieties and racial stereotypes about the black male body and ownership over, as well as access to, white women's bodies. It's always about bodies, isn't it, with these people? Never about people, always about bodies. I feel that a lot of these white supremacist, cuck-obsessed, cuckold name-calling right-wing types really believe that black men are superior to them sexually and physically. What am I reading? What am I getting into? Man, every question I go down in this article, things get more and more insane. I'm not saying that they're necessarily right or wrong, or like factually accurate or complete lies. Probably somewhere in the middle for all of this. But it's just nuts that this is a fucking Salon article. Well, I guess maybe not a Salon article. Salon's kind of a rag. But it's nuts that someone would publish this. As unbelievable as it may sound, there are actually slave plantation retreats where black people go to be dominated by white people in a BDSM interracial role-playing experience. There are also other examples of that kink where blacks and Latinos and other non-whites engage in race play with their intimate partners, where the former act out crossing the border and being captured by the authorities. Oh, fuck me. What advice do you have for people who are experiencing post-Trump sex disorder? How can they salvage their intimate lives in a time of such fear, anxiety, violence, and worry? First of all, I believe in the importance of pleasure. I think too many people on the right denigrate pleasure as sending you to hell. Of course, they're being very hypocritical. About that. And there are too many people on the left who denigrate pleasure as being selfish. Pleasure when you're sharing is the opposite of selfishness. You're really reaching out to your fellow humans. That's the beauty of life. I also think it's important to honor pleasure and to honor pleasure givers. It's also very important to honor your own sexual desires and the pleasures of your partner or partners. If your partner has a cuckold fantasy or some other fantasy that you don't like, try not to shame them. Try to let them talk about it and try to hear them out. Of course, do not do anything that bothers you. I think there are so many people who shame each other over our human sexual desires. It's kind of a favorite American pastime. I think that contributes to a sex-negative culture. Thanks, Donald Trump. Thanks for ruining literally everything. Speaking of Trump, Trump's war on socialism will fail. This is in reference to the recent State of the Union, where Trump said something along the lines of, America will never be a socialist country. And I have a feeling he was saying that directly to Ocasio-Cortez and others on the hard left in the Democratic Party, who basically want to rape, pillage, and destroy the United States, in my opinion. Going back to the late 19th century, Americans and Europeans, socialists and liberal reformers, worked together to humanize the system's workings and to find creative ways to solve problems capitalism alone couldn't. Think about this when pondering the Green New Deal put forward last week by Edward J. Markey and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's sweeping and adventurous. There is virtually no way it will become law as long as Republicans control the Senate and Trump is president. But there would be no social reform ever if those seeking change were too timid to go big and allowed cries of socialism to intimidate them. In his State of the Union address, Trump said, "We renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country." Yet in referring to new calls to adopt socialism, he had a point. Open advocacy of socialism is now a normal part of our political discourse. Ocasio-Cortez is a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. Senator Bernie Sanders won more than 12 million votes in the 2016 Democratic presidential primaries, running explicitly as a Democratic Socialist. He calls himself a Democratic Socialist, but he's actually a social democrat. They're not the same thing. Trump wants to tar all Democrats as socialist, and then define socialism as antithetical to American values. America was founded on liberty and independence, and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free. Listen, I don't know why you're still, for some reason, on the side of socialism. You can even forget about the historical examples that were all catastrophic disasters. Look at Venezuela. That is what happens. That is what will happen every fucking time. The Soviet Union's been dead for nearly 3 decades. Yeah, for good reason. China's communist on paper, but a wildly unequal crony capitalist dictatorship in practice. Yeah, there are government systems other than socialism and communism that are still tyrannical. That does not make socialism or communism not tyrannical. Young Americans especially are far more likely to associate socialism with generous social insurance states than with jackboots and gulags. Yeah, well, that's because young Americans are dumb and don't know the meanings of words. Sweden, Norway, and Denmark are anything but frightening places. They're also not socialist. Neither is Canada. People keep saying Canada's socialist. Bernie Sanders keeps saying Canada is socialist. I'm a Canadian. It's not socialist. There is a social safety net. That does not mean that it is socialist. You might say that socialism is winning the branding war. 54% said socialism was about those public benefits, while just 43% picked the version that stressed government domination. Americans ages 18 to 29, for whom Cold War memories are dimmed and non-existent, were even more inclined to define socialism as social democracy. That's because they're stupid. Socialism is not social democracy. And here's the worst part, when you start muddying terms like this. There's going to be a bunch of older socialists who do remember the Cold War, who have been waiting for an opportunity like this. They're going to shill for socialism. They're going to hit the tipping point where they can finally implement it. And then when they go to implement it, against the will of the people that put them in power, they're going to implement the government domination version of socialism. Because that's what they mean. That's why you have to be accurate in what you fucking say. Trump will probably still get some traction with his attacks on socialism. And progressives should remember that social democratic ideas associated with fairness and expanding individual freedoms to get health care or to go to college, for example, are more popular than those restricting choice. Yeah, except that social democracy is not socialism. You fucking retard. Those slurred as socialists really do have a good track record of making capitalism work better and more justly. The S word is not now, and in its democratic forms, never should have been an obscenity. No, I completely refuse. I completely refuse to be complicit in this sleight of hand bullshit. Fuck you. Let's keep riding the Trump train here, guys. Trump official refuses to answer when Ilhan Omar asks if he'd support genocide in Venezuela. Oh, Jesus, that's quite extremist. Let's see what the article says. Trump official refuses to answer. Really? Omar started her questioning by saying, I don't understand why members of this committee or the American people should find any testimony that you give today to be truthful. Damn, she's really lighting the fire. Abrams tried to cut her off by classifying the comments as an attack, but Omar shut him down, continuing with her questioning. She highlighted how he'd supported and spoken favorably of U.S. efforts to effect regime change in El Salvador during the 1980s, despite rampant war crimes and human rights violations by American-trained militants. More than 800 civilians, including children as young as 2 years old, were brutally murdered. During that massacre, some of those troops bragged about raping a 12-year-old girl before they killed her. You later said that the U.S. policy in El Salvador was a fabulous achievement. Do you still think so? Obviously frustrated by the question, Abrams replied by saying it was a fabulous achievement that El Salvador had become a functioning democracy. And then Omar asked, would you support an armed faction within Venezuela that engages in war crimes, crimes against humanity, or genocide, if you believe they were serving U.S. interests, as you did in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua? I'm not going to respond to that question, I'm sorry, Abrams said. I don't think this entire line of questioning is meant to be real questions. After Omar pressed further, Abrams finally said it was always the position of the United States to protect people against war crimes and genocide. Well, hold on a minute. You know, as bad as this guy sounds, if all this stuff is true, as bad as it sounds, isn't this him answering the question? Like, okay. Trump official refuses to answer when Ilhan Omar asks if he'd support genocide in Venezuela. But right here, he says it's always the position of the United States to protect people against war crimes and genocide. That's an answer. He's not refusing to answer. I mean, he might be lying through his teeth. Who knows? But the headline's not exactly accurate, is it? Okay, let's watch the video here. Hold on a second.
Support an armed faction within Venezuela that engages in war crimes, crimes against humanity, or genocide, if you believe they were serving U.S. interest, as you did in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua?
I am not going to respond to that question. I'm sorry. I don't think this entire line of questioning is meant to be real questions, and so I will not reply.
So based on that short clip, yeah, he did refuse to answer, but like, why didn't you put in your video the bit where he fucking answered? Like right here. Okay, I don't know enough about the story to really talk about whether or not this guy is a good guy or a bad guy. If everything said here is true, he's probably pretty terrible, but at least be accurate in your reporting, for fuck's sake, Newsweek. Speaking of American atrocities, in his first public statement from prison, Bill Cosby said he will never have remorse for his crimes and called himself a political prisoner. Hold on a minute, Bill. Didn't you rape women? Like, isn't that what happened? Like, I don't know. I didn't follow the trial. Was he? I assume he was found guilty because he's in prison. But like, was the evidence solid? Like, I don't know. But just assuming that he's actually guilty, I don't think you were put away for political reasons, Bill Cosby. I don't think that's the reason. I won't feel remorse for raping that woman because I'm a political prisoner. Come on. In his first statement from prison, Bill Cosby said he will never have remorse for his crimes and called himself a political prisoner. My political beliefs, my actions of trying to humanize all races, genders, and religions landed me in this place surrounded by barbed wire fencing, a room made of steel and iron. What? Are you fucking kidding me? Cosby noted that his cell resembles the quarters of some of the greatest political prisoners: Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Randall Robinson, and Dr. Benjamin Chavis. Cosby, once known as America's Dad, was sentenced in September to 3 to 10 years in prison for drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constand at his home in 2004. This is not a political crime. Jesus Christ. You know, I'm not surprised he's pulling the race card. I am surprised he didn't directly say, they put me away because I'm black. That could have been the angle he took. It would have been the more predictable angle, but the sheer volume of people coming forward making an accusation doesn't mean that it's true. And what America has said is that women don't lie. Women do lie. That's true. For example, these women here who are lying to themselves. All-girl Boy Scouts troop. launches and wink. Aren't they just the Girl Scouts? Or no, aren't they called like Girl Guides, I think? I don't know, like, there was always a female complimentary version of the Boy Scouts, wasn't there? There was in Canada, I don't know about the United States. But there was always a group for girls, I think. I presume that the Girl Guides aren't allowing boys in, and the Boy Scouts are now allowing girls in. But why do you need an all-girl Boy Scouts troop? You already have that. They're called Girl Guides. And also, look at these two scout leaders. I'm pretty sure that neither of them have been outside in a day in their goddamn lives. A small but enthusiastic group of young ladies met at the Zion Lutheran Church last week to become part of new Troop 64, an all-girl troop which will offer the recruits some privileges they think they've been missing, such as whittling and camping. Hopefully you'll also be playing Nintendo 64. Under the umbrella of the Boy Scouts organization, female scouts ages 10 to 18 will participate in Scouts BSA. Because of their new designation, they may work towards the distinguished rank of Eagle Scout, just like their male peers. We're excited about the all-girl troop. We hope it flourishes. This is something I wish I had. Taking leadership will be a learning experience for the girls. We're looking for adults to be volunteers. Rowan Kraft, an 11-year-old Edgewood Middle School student, said that after her Girl Scout troop disbanded, she decided to join this group with all of her friends. I love to camp and I also want to carve. Outdoor things are her favorite. This all sounds completely fine. But why are they called Boy Scouts? There's no boys involved. That brings us to the end. Another SJ Weekly down the hatch. Or maybe we'll be calling it something else next week. Who knows? Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Still working on the 50,000 subscriber special video. It might take a week or two because I have a few big plans for it. I hope it won't take so long that we hit 100,000 before I make it. That would kind of suck. As always, hop over to twitch.tv/GameBoomers Monday through Friday nights. However, I think I'm going to change the schedule to Sunday through Thursday nights, in fact. I've got to change a few things up. Because Sunday night is going to be devoted to our Tales of Vesperia remastered playthrough. We're going to attempt to get 4 people every Sunday night and play through the game, the entire game. Might be a long haul, but it'll be fun. In any case, I'm out of here. I love you.